We are live. I always feel like you look like this when you're looking at all the little things come on, but we are live inside of Facebook and in our beautiful Love2Sugar community. And it is also going to double as our live streaming Sugar Show podcast because today's topics are super, super important for all of you. Whether you haven't chosen to sugar yet, or you are someone who's been sugaring for 20 years, you really, really, really need to pay attention. Ask questions today because I have the queen, Tracy Donley herself with ASCP. She is the executive director and an amazing human. And she is here in our community to talk to all of us. So Tracy, welcome.
Thank you. It has been forever. I'm so excited to be here. And I love your crew. So this is going to be awesome.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. I decided to go direct to the source, Mama, because we get questions inside our community all of the time. And I'm going to keep my eye on those comments as we're going through this. But we have some questions that the community has for you. And so I wanted to do those. I do want to do a shout out. I'm going to do a plug for our connection with all of you, because if you do not have insurance, oh my gosh, get it, call today. If you have any questions, ASCP is amazing. And this is our link where, because you are a sugaring professional, you get a sweet deal for being a part of our community. So I did want to put that up. I will put that up in the end. I will put that up in the comments, but I did want to throw that out there so that because some people are new to our community, Trace, and they might not realize that they get a perks by being with us. So
yeah, I mean, a $20 discount plus, I mean, I hate to brag, but then we also just created a brand new ASCP Skin Pro app. So contraindications, ingredients, all that only for members at the palm of your hand.
Okay. Let's talk about that for a moment, because we were going to talk topics, but we have time to talk about that. Please educate those of us I've been with ASCP for going on 20 years now. Yeah. And I just renewed, got my business, and all my stuff is settled. But this is new for me too. So share with the community, what is the freshest, newest thing, because you're not just insurance. What is the freshest, newest announcement?
Yeah, I'm so excited. And we have so many things rolling out this year, but I think it was January 15th, it was kind of a soft launch. We rolled out only for members. It's called ASCP Skin Pro. And what it is a web app. So you have to actually, if you're a member, you log into the site on your iPhone or whatever device you're using, not on your phone, whatever it is. And you're going to log in, and then you're going to click on Skin Pro. And then the cool thing is that the site knows what kind of phone you have. So it literally, you just follow the 3 little prompts and it downloads that app with the little icon on your screen, on your page with all your other apps. So I want to be very clear, everyone gets confused, is that this is not found in any of the app stores. This is only for logged in members. And so you just log it in. And what it is, it's great. I mean, I know all of you guys out there are total pros and probably don't, you know the basics, right? You know everything, you know the details, but it's so nice, right, to just check yourself. So let's say someone comes in with rosacea. You can type in rosacea and it's going to tell you everything about that skin condition, the indications, the contraindications, as well as the preferred ingredients that you should use or not use. So, and then let's say you are doing some retailing with your client and you're like, hey, here's what your at-home care looks like. And you grab a product and you look at the back and you see, oh, it has vitamin C in it. You just type in vitamin C and then it's going to tell you contraindications, skin conditions that you should be careful of. So you can do it each way. It just goes there right at the palm of your hand. I think it's like we have around like 75 skin conditions and around 150 some ingredients. And we're going to continue to keep adding to that. There's also an option in there too, where people can shoot us a quick little, hey, I don't see this in here. Can you put this in here? So I'm really excited.
This is amazing. Thank you so much. You guys are always adding, like, it's more than just insurance. We talked about that on the last podcast. You really are adding tools to help your members take their business to the next level and have tools in the palm of their hand while they're in the treatment room to very quickly look something up, instead of, back in the day, we had to pull our Bible, our skin Bible off the bookshelf and flip through and try to find like, oh, what is this ingredient? So this is an amazing tool. Thank you for putting that together.
Yeah. And I should also say too, I mean, it's done by Dr. Mark Lees. So everyone knows like, this isn't information that you need to question. And that's the thing. It's not like doing a Google search, right? This is like the Bible in the palm of your hands.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's open that Bible, so to speak, and let's talk about really a few important topics. And if there are any comments that anyone has, I'm happy to take them, or questions. But let's really dive deep into one of the biggest things I hear in the skincare industry, and especially in the sugar industry, is people making their own products and then using them in the treatment room or using them as home care. So I think the DIY thing became especially popular during the COVID lockdown. And I so understand wanting to kind of hustle your own thing and try to find ways to save money and try to find ways to, have a side hustle, like I get it. I totally get it. I will say that, Tracy, there are some folks that are going to be watching this. They're actually in other countries like Canada, and they have different, I want to make sure we say that up front. They have very different rules in Canada and other countries. So this is a US based discussion today. So I want to make sure we're really clear about that. But it does really, you really do need to pay attention if you're from Canada or one of those other countries and you're watching this, what you have to be prepared for, even in your country. Okay. So I'll just say that, but let's talk about doing it yourself, going on YouTube and figuring out how to make sugar or how to make a mask, or maybe purchasing products from a company who is not professional. And we're going to talk about what that means. But this is that trend that I want to make sure that you all have the proper information about, which is why I brought Tracy, because I know what I feel and know, but I also want to kind of band forces and really just talk about this. So the sugar community really hears me all the time talking about professional sugar supply companies. So maybe if you can discuss a little bit what that means. What does it mean to purchase from a professional company?
Yeah. So, when we use the word professional at ASCP, we're referring to a profession, a licensed esthetician, a licensed professional. The opposite of that would be, you see OTC, right? Over the counter. So the things that you're going to find in the big box stores, right? The difference between a professional product and an over-the-counter, and of course, very different, and we'll talk about probably more later, the DIY, is that you're going to get a higher concentration of active ingredients in there. And it's just going to be typically a more quality product. We actually just have been talking so much over at ASCP about some of the emergence of some of the things that we're seeing in the over-the-counter type products, but that's a whole nother can of worms. But, I think the real key is that because they are more active or they are more advanced, the professional products, it makes sense. It's going to be used under the guidance of a professional. Or it's going to be used by a professional. So, what we had during COVID, Shannon, I'm sure you probably heard about this, is just, so many people putting together their back bar or their wet bar products, and then as like little kits, and then giving it to their clients. And that is actually a no-no too, because if it is for professional use only, that means it's for a trained professional to apply that product. So that actually can get you in trouble too. If there were a claim that would arise, you wouldn't be covered.
So that became a big thing over COVID. People really started doing those at-home kits to try to make money. Did you see major issues with that in the last 2 years?
Thank goodness we didn't have any claims that we saw coming in from it. But, it only takes one to destroy a career. I mean, and that's just real. I mean, we saw it a lot more, I think, with on the, I'm also the executive director for Associated Hair Professionals. So a lot of of the hairstylists and hairdressers and such were putting together dyeing kits for their clients, but that was with their back bar products. So no. So yeah, so I definitely would say if it says for professional use only, there's a reason why they put that on there. It is not just to say, hey, this product is stronger. Yes, this product is stronger and more active, but it means it's for a professional to use. So.
Correct. Okay. So is there anything that makes, like, can anyone just say they're a professional product line? Is there anything that that sugar pros and estheticians can kind of go by to ask a company, like, are you a professional manufacturer? What makes a company professional?
Well, one thing is, I mean, and we all know, is the FDA, right? Food and Drug Administration. You should be looking to make sure that there's some kind of notation on that, or that you can look that up. I think also too, I can't remember off the top of my head, there are sites where you can read ingredient decks. So if the likeliness that their ingredient deck isn't on one of those sites, they're probably not a professional product. That's another place. But I think here's the reason. I just want to be very clear to everybody why a professional product manufactured correctly is so important, is that, think about this: sanitation, right? How is this product? There are standards of how things should be manufactured and created, right? The other thing is even the stability of the product. So let's say the sanitation is great. They've rented space in a, one of those areas, those kitchens to cook all this stuff in. But, unless you have had testing with a formulator and a chemist or something along those lines, you don't know what the stability of your product is. And so if things aren't stable, or they don't have the right preservatives in it, that can cause a lot of problems too. Yeah. So, and you'll need to get those notations. When you work with a formulator, you'll be able to get all that information. You'll know how long and how stable your product is for, all that stuff. It's just not a situation where anybody should cook it up, or I think don't cook it up, look it up. How about that?
Oh, that's going to be my next t-shirt. You watch.
Don't cook it up, look it up.
Yeah. So what happens if someone just cooks their own sugar and, goes on YouTube, finds a recipe, cooks their own sugar, kind of puts it in some jars they maybe got from, a Uline packaging company, and now all of a sudden they have this sugar paste. What is the liability in that? Do you insure people that do their own DIY?
No. So, and absolutely not. And here's the thing: the reason those videos are on YouTube and those formulas are out there, those are for consumers. Yeah. You have to remember that you have a professional license, yes, which is your livelihood. That's your lifeline, right? I mean, that's your career right there. Yeah. Once you have a professional license, you are held to a different standard than a consumer. Yeah. So absolutely, in no circumstances, if there were to be any kind of a claim that would result in something that was applied to your client that was not an approved, FDA approved product, a professional product, and you wouldn't be covered. And all of that claim would be 100% on you. And I can tell you, they would not only go after, I hate to sound like such a bad guy, but they would not only go after you and your business professionally, but they would go after you personally as well.
And we so want to avoid that. You were telling me that even peels and
oh yeah, I mean, it's just so, I mean, I get it. I think, we're all creative, I think, in general. I mean, part of the reason you guys get into the business is because you want to help people, you want to solve their problems, you want to give them a better skin and better quality of life, right?
Sure.
But we've had people who have, learned a lot about, I mean, peels in general they're made from natural ingredients, right? So, we heard about a story where someone had ground up, pureed a whole bunch of strawberries and thought, this is going to be so good. It's all natural. I'm just going to put this on, her face, and it's going to be so good. And she ended up with severe burns. And the thing that we don't always think about is we think, oh, this is a whole fruit, or this is a whole whatever. Oh, it's sugar. It's whole.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if it has GMOs, if there's pesticides in it, if, whatever was transferring it, how long it's been around. There's so many details that go into the ingredients that are used in our products. And, it's not worth taking that risk.
Absolutely not. I mean, you don't want to lose everything because you chose to put strawberries on someone's face, or
No,
you whipped up a vajacial mask and you've painted it all over someone's hoo-ha,
no,
and now
absolutely.
they've got burns on their hoo-ha, or they've got burns on their face, or I mean, it is so critical to understand. And it seems so simple, right? Lemon, sugar, and water. And there's so many ways that can go wrong. And I know that professional manufacturers, they do the sanitation. They have a clean room that
Oh,
they
yes.
create these products with, that they are, they have like the gown, the hair bonnet, they've got gloves. I mean, even the jars are sanitized before sugar is
Oh, of
put in there.
course. I mean, because if anybody does canning and pickling like I do, that can, just if the jars alone aren't sanitized correctly, that your whole everything is out the window. Like it won't
Yeah.
seal correctly. There's so many things. And even think about this. I mean, you're talking about lemons. That is another natural wet I mean, again, GMOs, you don't know, you want to know all about that. And then the one last thing I'd say is, in these mass productions or even boutique production scenarios, they are getting batch numbers.
Mhm.
Why do they get batch numbers? Because if something does go wrong, they can take a look and figure out which batch it was, what happened, make sure that they're telling people, here's what batch it was, so take this off the shelves, blah, blah, blah. So there's just so many things. And here's the thing with products, that's the good news, is even if there is a product liability claim, that's just going to be a claim on you for putting that product on the client. There will be you want them to be able to go to that manufacturer, and if there's something that's not viable with the product or what have you, and be able to go after them.
Right.
Not you.
Yeah. So if you do have an issue and you're by yourself solo in your room and you made your product, it's all on you.
All on you.
If you are using a professional supply company's product, you have them to work that fight with you and to help with this. And do professional sugar supply companies have their own manufacturing insurance for
Oh,
these type of claims?
absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And
Yes.
I mean, I would be shocked if they don't, but I guess, if you are concerned it's not a brand that you know and trust and that it's a new one, I would be asking those questions. I would literally be asking those questions. I would say, I want to, see your, it's like on the tip of my tongue, but you can ask to see where it validates their product. And it'll give you details. You should be able to get a lot more information. You should be able to understand like when they formulated, how long they've been formulating. What is it called? It's called it's not the certification of the product, but it's like that. Each product actually has a chemist or a formulator who certifies the
Yeah.
product.
Yeah. It is so, so critical that you're asking questions, Sugar Pros, that you know where your products are coming from, that you can rely on the consistency of the product, not only for performance, but for just quality in general. And it is really, really critical that, you're in business now, that you're very, very aware that companies are going to try to, especially these mom and pop companies that are trying to make, home care.
Yeah.
Oh, just use my ingrown serum. It's my grandma's recipe,
Yeah.
right? Well,
And it sounds cute, right? It sounds like, oh, I want to do that.
I want to support
Oh,
local. I want
yeah.
to support small business, right? I absolutely understand your need to want to do that. I absolutely understand you wanting to support another small business. But if they do not have the proper protections in place, it is going to come back to bite you. And we do not want that to happen to you. So really ask yourself, what am I using on my clients? And, Tracy, this really does. I'm so glad that you brought that up with the COVID at home kits, because
Mhm.
home care is so critical to sugaring and the success of your clients. But you can't just get a bunch of dollar store little sample, things and start divvying out and charge, $5 a jar
Mm-mm.
for professional products. You can't do that. So you need to be really, really mindful of what you're giving your clients and that the home care is protected as well.
Yeah. And I think even too, with that being said, I know, you probably think to yourself, well, I just want to give them a sample so that they'll try it at home. I just want them, it's not even, it's an after, yeah, it's like a home care thing. I just want to give them a sample and then it'll be enough that'll bring them back and then they can buy a full size product. But even when you're doing that, you're giving them a sample of a retail product, you are potentially putting yourself at risk because of the fact that you are taking it out of whatever that its original packaging and bottling is, to protect its efficacy, and putting it into something else that you probably haven't sanitized correctly. So
For
there could
sure.
just
For sure.
don't even do that. Like ask
Yeah.
that company for samples and they should be providing those to you.
Any one of the solid professional companies should be able to provide you with clean sanitary samples, travel sizes, trial sizes, whatever they like to call them, and make sure that you are protected. Don't try to divvy it out yourself,
No.
because Tracy has seen so many amazing estheticians and cosmetologists, get bit for this, and clients get injured by this. You might think strawberries are safe and smell yummy and it'll be your strawberry summer facial.
Yeah.
And now you've gotten yourself in some deep trouble. So be very, very careful. Tracy, another one. Do you have anything else about the home care DIY? Any other stories for us before I ask?
I mean, I just would, there's a bunch, but I just think that just don't do it. I mean, crazy things go wrong. I mean, even to allowing, I've heard so many stories about like whoopsie doozies, basically, where clients have said, please, can I just take some of this wax home or some of this sugar home? And then I can, because I'm going to be on vacation and I just want to build I think I can do it. I think like, don't. The next thing you know is they're going to have wax someplace that they don't know how to, or wax or sugar or what have you, and they don't know how to remove it. And then you're getting calls on that. I mean, there's just so many, just maintain your professionalism. That's what's going to keep your clients coming back time and time again. No matter how much clients beg, plead, and they do, right? I mean, like a lot of clients are like begging and pleading and telling you what they want you to do, but you got to just maintain that level of professionalism. And
this is a crazy world we're in right now. There's a lot of people that you would never think would file a claim that are. And
that's the thing. That's what I was thinking about when you were talking, is that it's so it is a very litigious world, and they could be your best friend. You could think they could be a client that's coming to you for 15 years, and next thing you know, you've got a little envelope with your name on it, and it's pretty grim looking in your mailbox. So, I just say, don't do it. Don't.
Protect yourself and your clients, and you can have a long, prosperous career.
Yes.
Okay, so a couple other things that we did bring up inside the group. One of the questions that came up was the sugar warmers and towel cabbies inside the room. Can they be left on 24/7? So as you know, sugar pots, sugar warmers, heat at a very, very low temperature that keep that product at room temperature. So it doesn't seem like it would do anything, but it is still an electrical appliance. And there are obviously hot wax horror stories, towel cabbies, things like that. And I think sometimes sugar professionals wonder if, because it's kept at such a low temperature, can we go ahead and keep it on 24/7? What does that look like if something was to happen? So if you could address that.
Yeah. I mean, I always say in any career, in our lives, it's always good to kind of have a just like you would have a sleep time hygiene, right? You should have a closing time hygiene regime, right? Of like, here's what I do. And I think same thing with opening up, right? I think it's a really good idea that you should always, anything that is electrical, I don't care if it's a, a lamp, if it was my business, honestly. I mean, I would make sure it's turned off. I would even go as far as to unplug, or at least you should be checking every night your plugins, because if there is any kind of a short, or there is any kind of a little, like something gets nicked and a cord gets nicked and something happens, I mean, you can run into real problems. And that's where we see a lot of the general liability, that type of thing, because it's, I mean, heat sources. I mean, we tell people time and time again, anything that is a heat source, unplug it, turn it off. I mean, the other thing is too, if you just think about the life of your towel cabbie or your sugar pot, right, is that you want to extend it, right? You want it to last as long as possible. So don't have it running 24 hours a day. I mean, I don't sugar, but I'm not sure I see where the big benefit is to leave it on.
So, but as it goes for liability, so say you happen to have your sugar warmer on, or your lights, or whatever, and there is that spark, because things happen, right? Like I was thinking about This Is Us, where the crock pot, is what caused the house to go on fire. Oh, poor Jack.
I know.
But obviously, you got your crock pot on, you're making your chili overnight. Like, are we covered?
Yeah. So how that kind of works is you'd want to make sure that you have also, so not just professional liability insurance, which covers product liability for like allergic reactions. Let's say someone has a reaction to sugar or lemons. I don't know. That covers that. Then you have your professional liability advice, guidance that you gave them, decisions you made about your client. And then the other is general. So that is typically going to be a slip and fall, or maybe sugar spills all over their Gucci bag, or whatever it is. Right. That's going to cover those things for you as a professional. But if there is a fire, or something like that, or a spark, or what have you, you're going to want to have business personal property insurance. So that's an additional rider. We have a special rates that are just for our ASCP members that you have to be a member to get. So you kind of would want to take a look and see what your inventory looks like. So it does cover your retail products. It does cover your equipment. It covers your computer. It covers what have you. We have a $10,000 policy that is, I believe it's $95 for the whole year. And then we have another policy that's $25,000 is the max. And I think that's $250 for the year. So, and side note, like if there is any theft or anything like that too, it would cover that as well.
Yeah. I actually added that on. I didn't realize that. I don't know if you've always had that, but like in the first 15 years of my doing this, I think I had to get separate policies way back in the day.
You've had it for about 10 years.
So maybe it was, it could have been about 10 years ago that I switched. It's been a while, but I know that in the very beginning, you had to go to ASCP for like the skincare stuff, and then everything else in your business. And I've always had my own shop.
Yeah.
So for those of you that have your own shop or are interested in making sure that your things are protected, this is really great for you to understand. So you would,
or even if you have a mobile business. I mean, a lot of people now with COVID are moving to more of a mobile scenario. This will protect you wherever you go as well.
Great. And so that's the thing you need to understand is, as it comes to leaving on your sugar warmer, we'll just get specific.
Okay.
Right? As it comes to that, your basic policy wouldn't necessarily protect a fire if that sugar warmer were to spark something, right?
That's correct.
To do the add-on, which I have, and I can sleep at night knowing that I'm protected. But the basic insurance is more for reactions, products, things like that. And so you would be covered there. So make sure you're taking a look at that and call them at ASCP if you have any questions. They can walk you through that. I mean, $95 a year to protect all of your products for theft or fire or anything like that, like done. Even the larger level, the $25,000 to protect you, it doesn't seem like that's a lot of money, but I'll tell you, if you can repurchase all your
Oh,
products and get a new table, and I mean, it adds up, I mean, you don't realize how much you've spent over the course of time to create this business for yourself. So there are people in the group that say, "Oh, I leave my sugar warmer on, all the time. It's low level. But here's the thing is, we're making sure that the electrical piece of equipment, it's not so much that it heats high like a wax warmer. Those
right.
are high heat, which is its own other issues, but we always talk about that. But the low heat is still an electrical piece of equipment.
Well, and it could still malfunction in the sense that
Sure.
you could think that it's going to be at this low heat. Something goes awry in the pot itself. And what if it does get hotter than you're expecting? And like, that's the other thing. And that's where you as a professional would be responsible for hurting somebody because of the fact that it was too warm, right? Even if it was the product, the heater, the pot that malfunctioned, you would need to be covered. So
Yes. And that happens. It happens that some of like the heating element goes wonky in one of those things. And maybe you're using a spatula instead of your hand and you don't realize how hot it is. That's why you have to have proper education on the consistency of sugar. But I'm just saying. But but at the end of the day, if you are putting product on that's hot, there's kind of that chain reaction. So please,
or
please,
even
please.
if it's too cold. I mean, there could be problem. I mean, I don't know quite as much as, I mean, Shannon, you could probably speak to this. I mean, if it isn't at the temperature that you want it to be, and let's say this is a product that's been in this pot for quite some time, are there things that could grow in there?
Not so much
Heating it up to the right
bacteria.
level.
Yeah, not so much bacteria, but I will say that if you put cold paste on someone, you run the risk of kind of giving that hickey effect and they bruise.
Ooh, yeah.
And so, you can actually pull skin if you haven't prepped the skin properly and used a sugar that's at a proper consistency. So great point. Doesn't necessarily have to be hot. It's just not the right product and technique. And that can cause issues too. So we're pretty proud of the fact that we don't have the same issues that hot resin, hot wax does. We're pretty proud of that as Sugar Pros, but Sugar Pros, don't let your guard down because you can actually harm someone. You can lift skin if you don't do this properly. And this is where making sure that you're protected is super, super important.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. And then we were talking about liabilities, trip and fall, improper techniques. Certifications. I want to chat about that for just a second, because I think that some people there's COVID also bred all kinds of professional educators.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And all kinds of people that are handing out certificates that like really have no business taking estheticians' money. But they are putting up these, online courses to, in fairness, try to make more money for themselves, which I get everybody's trying to have that side hustle. But my concern is those folks that are just like, I've seen this too, where they're just taking a video class and they get an automatic certificate at the end. That is not
or a technique or a modality.
Yes. That is not certification. Certification is the act of learning and then performing, mirroring back those skills in a proper way to show your proficiency in that skill or using that modality. So I'm going to open that can of worms. How are you seeing that happen with equipment, with dermaplaning, with, in addition to sugar, people that are they think they got a certificate to cover them, but it's really just a PDF image that has their name on it that just shows they took the class, like they actually watched the videos.
Yeah, I mean, here's the bottom line. I mean, we have been around for, almost over 15 years, I think it is now. And this is such a great topic to bring up because more than ever, we have seen, which is amazing, we've seen estheticians becoming more and more advanced, wanting more education than ever before, which is fantastic, right? Like forever lifetime student. And But we actually are right now, Maggie Stasek, our director of education, is actually working to put together what our recommendations would be. You don't have to do this to be an ASCP member. They don't have to follow this, but it is our recommendations for certification for different types of modalities, whether it is dermaplaning, whether it is laser, whether it is waxing and bikini waxing, all these different things, because what we've realized too is that, in the typical aesthetic programs in school, I mean, you don't get eyebrow tinting, you're not going to get sugaring. A lot of people don't, they just get waxing of someone's arm or their leg. And so, we really feel that it's important to have a proper program, that's just going to make everybody better. And, ultimately, what's our number one goal? Our number one goal as ASCP is to make sure that we can ensure you to have the longest career, most successful, profitable career that you could ever want. Right. And then number two, when you take a pledge, take your you get your license to be an esthetician, you are promising basically to keep the public safe and out of harm. So that is your responsibility. And so when you're taking certifications that don't have anything hands-on, they aren't speaking to you about, skin physiology, you're not taking some foundation of theory prior to getting in and getting your hands on the client. I mean, it all stacks on top of each other. So,
and then you demonstrating your skills. So at the end of the day, you can take a really great class and you can watch and nod your head and pick up that ball of sugar, and you can't demonstrate your skills. You should not be certified in that technique. If you have watched a really great dermaplaning course and learned about the theory and all of those things and all the proper sanitation, and it's a really great course, but they just auto send you a certificate at the end and don't watch you do the technique, then that's not truly a certification. And so I'm going to be banging this drum. I'm going to be calling Maggie now that I know this, because
bang the drum, call Maggie. I mean, that would be great. I mean,
that's huge.
What I do have to say that I love is that part of the reason we started to do this is that we get so many phone calls. I mean, because that's right, we're your partner.
Yeah.
You can pick up the phone Monday through Friday, wait for maybe maximum 20 seconds for someone to pick up the phone and ask a question. So we get it all the time. Do you think this is a good course? I'm looking to do this. I want to put this treatment on my menu. What do you think about this? That's what we're here for. I mean, it's hard to be a solo entrepreneur, right? And you feel like you're isolated sometimes. I mean, thank goodness that they have the sugar mama to reach out to, but not every modality and treatment out there has someone like you. But so that's what we're here to do.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for your wisdom. I love that we can reach out to you and any of the members of your staff and get the right information. That's just, don't guess. We're able to really, you're our partners in this. And I love seeing you. We're going to be back seeing each other at shows. And it feels like all is well with the world. It really does.
Getting there. I would say one more thing that we've talking about shows, Shannon, is that, anybody who's going to be going to, the big shows out there, Face and Body, ICSC, we're going to be having at the Las Vegas event, a big, huge Reader's Choice Awards party with IECSC. And I think Lip Gloss and Aftershave they're doing something there at the end of the show too. So look for that. And then we're speaking, I'm speaking at all the shows in different classrooms and such. And my favorite one that people seem to really love that I just rolled out there, it's called Going Solo. So if somebody is thinking about going solo, they're ready to take that plunge and not work for someone else and do their own hustle. It's a great class. It's a great presentation just to learn all the things you need to know in order to go solo. So
that's awesome. Well, maybe we have you back on and we do a little teaser on that going solo. I love that idea.
I love it.
Trace, and as always, it's so good to see your face, and thank you for all that you do. And
Oh,
you have
thank
really
you.
built an amazing team that really gets it and really is a true partner in this journey. Because we never thought that some of these things would come up and lockdowns and we just never thought. And just to have, friends like you is a pretty great thing. So thank you so much.
Well, we're all about you.
I love it. I love it. Okay, Sugar Tribe, we will see you very, very soon. And any questions that you have for Tracy, feel free to put them in the comments below, and I will make sure that she gets them and we answer them. Have a fabulous day.